All right, guys, so welcome to Team Forever Strong's weekly team call. Today is the last day of the month. It's November 30th, and I hope you guys had an awesome Thanksgiving. We have a special guest speaker tonight, but before I tell you a little bit about her and tell you what she's going to be talking to you guys about tonight, I wanted to just take some time to share some important announcements that are coming up because the end of the year is right around the corner, guys. It's crazy. 2017 is going to be over and done with in one more month. So first I wanted to just welcome any brand new coaches onto the team that we have. We're super pumped to have you here. You're joining an awesome team, really supportive team. You're going to love it. So welcome and thank you for being here. Thanks for joining us. Also wanted to take just a couple of minutes. If you guys have anything positive, like awesome things that are going on in your life right now, anything good that's happened either today, in your full-time job, something with your kids, anything that's positive, type it in the chat so that we can just recognize those things. It could be anything. It could be about the business. It could be about your own health and fitness goals. It could be about a challenger in your group. It could be about getting a brand new coach on your team. Anything optimistic and positive that you have to share, comment below. Okay. Anybody have anything good going on in their life? Whoa, 120 people in your crockpot group. That's awesome. Whoop, whoop. Those are the best groups, guys. I love the crockpot groups. It's so easy. You just throw the stuff in. You don't have to worry about dinner. It's there and ready for you at the end of the crazy day. Who the heck wants to cook, right? Anybody else have anything happy or positive they want to share? Well, I'll share something. This is just about my son, but he's super duper picky with the food that he eats at night. He's like, he will only eat like bread. Seriously, if I let him, it would be only bread forever. And he's usually like, won't try any of the food, like the new food that I put on his plate. So tonight, he actually tried it all and didn't cry. He didn't throw a fit. He tried a little bit of everything, and I was a happy mom. Go Landon. Anybody have anything else happy going on? Okay. Nicole will be right back. Her Wi-Fi keeps freezing. Anything else, guys? I'm going to start calling you people out. All right. Well, anyways, as you think of stuff, guys, just go ahead and you can comment in the chat. I like to always start off the calls with positive things that are going on in our lives so we can recognize that. So we have some really important things coming up. So next month is the last month of the year, and it's going to be an exciting month, and there's a lot of really new, awesome things happening in December. So coming up right around the corner, we have 80-Day Obsession, which is going to be available on December 14th. So I am pumped for this program, guys, because the results that I saw from the people who went through the test group were just incredible. And I love how every single workout that they do and that she does is different. So there's no repeats, so you don't have to worry about getting bored. So I am so pumped to do this group, guys. So we have that coming up on December 14th. There's going to be a little obsessed sneak peek on December 20th, so people can try that out. It's also going to be the final month, guys, to qualify for the Diamond Pool bonus. If you've been shooting for that to try to get that extra money, now is the time to really lock that in, especially around the holidays. Just think of how helpful that extra income could be to you and to your family with gifts or hosting Christmas, whatever. This tends to be a stressful time of year for people with gifts and hosting Christmas and all that stuff. So think of what that extra money can do for you and your family and how it can help you guys out. The Success Club reward next month, if you help your 3 to 5 people get started on their health and fitness journey, is an 80-Day Obsession tank top, or just top, and a workout mat. So you have those 2 things. And also, too, guys, this is the last day of the month. So even though there's still 4 hours left, 3.5 hours left for the rest of the day, it's not too late to still go out there and try to find those 3 people that need help getting started on their health and fitness journey so that you can get yourself on the Success Club leaderboards and in the 3 Lives Club. It's not too late. I have seen incredible things happen, guys, with this team. People sitting at 0 points, not helping anybody, to all of a sudden, the last hour of the last day of the month, they were able to find 3 people who really wanted to make a change in their life. So they're out there. Don't give up. This is the time, guys, to really, really crush it and press the gas so that you can finish the year strong so that we can go into 2018 on fire. So I'm not going to talk anymore about anything else because then I want to take away from our guest speaker. But tonight I'm really excited, guys, because we have this super sweet coach. I love her so much. Her name is Nicole Neal. I'm sure you guys have probably already heard of her, but she's a 4-star diamond coach, and she's been coaching full-time now for 3 years. She's been able to build a 6-figure income business, guys, all while being busy, traveling the world, just enjoying life. And she does a really great job of just creating that balance and living life intentionally, trying to be present in the moment. And tonight, she's going to be talking about probably, I feel, is the most important topic and most important thing to have success as a coach. And that is talking about sharing your story authentically. Being able to share your story authentically, really diving into what your story is and then sharing it authentically for people, because at the end of the day, you can be doing all that other stuff, all the vital behaviors and inviting, and you can be following up and you can be adding to your network at the end of the day. But if you don't really know what your story is and you don't really see and feel the power behind your story of how it can inspire and help other people, then it tends to be a struggle getting this business up and going off the ground. And so she does an incredible job, a really natural way of sharing her and her journey, her story. We're all so different, guys. We all have different stories. And even if you think that your story is like no big deal, it really is a big deal, and it matters to other people out there. And it's your story that's going to attract other people to you to join your team. And so tonight, she's going to be sharing all about discovering the power of your story and how to share that authentically. So I hope you have your notebooks out and your pens out, because this call is going to change your business if you really listen carefully and then you apply it to your life. So thank you so much, Nicole, for being here.
You got it. Thank you.
Yeah.
I feel like the pressure's on now. That was great. Thank you.
Pressure's on, girl.
Pressure's on. Well, thanks for having me, guys. I am so excited to talk about this topic in particular because, truthfully, I am someone who I used to hate social media, and I've always been very private by nature. And opening up and starting to actually finally put myself out there was really hard for me to do. So I can totally understand where people are coming from when they struggle and when actually kind of peeling back those layers. So I did put together some slides, and I'm going to weave pieces of my own story in for you guys just to kind of help you think about your own and how you can bring it to life for yourself as well. So to start, I want to talk about kind of like a sad truth, right? So a sad truth is that most of us never really allow ourselves to become the person we're capable of being in life, right? We face our own internal demons. We struggle with our own self-worth, our sense of significance, and we end up holding ourselves back, really living it small, if you will. And I don't say this to point fingers and make accusations. I say it because I'm totally guilty of it myself for majority of my life. I've never been one to speak up. I hate being in the spotlight. I hate attention. I would so much rather see other people shine. And it's really funny because most of my life, I was really embarrassed by my story. It was something I hid and I never wanted to talk about. And, I felt as though that was a sign of weakness. And it's really ironic over these last couple of years of getting my business off the ground, I've come to realize that, there's a lot of power in your story. And one of the most impactful ways for you to fully embrace all of who you are, all of your own strengths, to kind of come to terms with what you've been through in life, is to start to not only embrace and accept, but be proud of what you've been through in your story in life. And so I truly believe, I don't think our pain is our purpose in life, but I think our pain can have some purpose in life. It's what makes us a light for other people. What we go through, all of our situations, all the pieces of our story that make us uniquely us, they make us a light and a guide for other people. And that's really what we do as coaches, right? We're here to be a light and a guide for other people. So I'm going to share my screen now, and I'm going to because I can ramble, so feel free to interject at any point. Also, if I'm going too fast, I tend to talk really fast. So just Kathy, be like, take it down a notch. But I'm going to share some slides just to keep me on track here. So I do kind of make sure I touch base and give you guys some actual takeaways, because I'm all about learning and getting inspiration, but if you never really apply or take action, you don't really get anywhere. So truly, I believe in order to find the power in your story and to share authentically, you have to learn how to clarify your message. So that's what I want to help you guys do tonight. And I kind of broke that down into 3 areas. The first is self-awareness, be a light, and then determine in your mission. And so we're going to start with self-awareness, because truthfully, like, this all starts with you, right? This all starts with you becoming more self-aware and connected to who you are. Your business is built around you. Yes, we use Beachbody as a tools and as our platform, but people come because of you, because of how they connect to you, how they relate to you. So you kind of have to put yourself out there. And it's a relationship business, and it's a personal business as in a coach. And if they're choosing you, they need to know who you are, and they have to learn to trust in you. And so that's why it's really important to break down those barriers and expose yourself a little, which I understand can be uncomfortable. So first and foremost, you really want to zone in on your story, right? And to start, you want to think about, what are some struggles that you've overcome in life? And not just what have you overcome, but what got you through them in terms of like this business and this platform. So for me, this all started for me so I'm a 3-time cancer survivor. I don't know if you guys know that, but I really found this opportunity as a discount coach, initially a customer, after my first scare with melanoma. And for me, like, I hit this low in my life, and I was struggling with self-confidence. For most of my life, valued the external. So like being tan, having long blonde hair, like all these things. I had no idea who I was. And all of a sudden I couldn't be in the sun anymore. I dyed my hair jet black. I got extensions overnight. I had a full-on identity crisis, and people thought I lost my mind. But I had no idea like how to feel good from the inside out. And ironically enough, like, I ordered P90X off of an infomercial online, and that was my first interaction with Beachbody. But it introduced me to the idea of fitness, and I fell in love with fitness. So when you talk about like your journey, don't just talk about, the physical transformation. While that's important, you want to also peel back the layers and talk about that emotional part of those struggles that you've overcome. So for me, fitness has become like my platform for really overcoming it's my mental pillar in life. And so I talk about that a lot. It's my therapy. It's about, I carve out time for myself, how I learn to overcome the things that come at me, So really peel back those layers and talk about not just, your physical transformation, but what it does for you as a person, how it elevates you, how it helps you overcome certain areas of your life. Another really impactful thing to think about is insecurities you have faced and how you're working to overcome them. And we all have insecurities regardless of where we are in life. And, a simple one I think of, for me is I've always had these chicken legs, and I was so embarrassed of them. I wore like leggings under my jeans when I was growing up in high school. They were that thin. So for me, like, that's an insecurity. And now I have like muscles on my legs. And so like, you talk to those little insecurities again, because it's going to the emotional trigger for people. So you got to kind of like peel back those layers on yourself, and you got to figure out what your struggles are. What are your insecurities that either you've overcome or you're trying to overcome? I think a big one, especially when it comes to, the business, at least for me, is my sense of significance. Like, that's kind of what drives me in this business. I want to be someone who feels as though they're making a difference in the world, that they're someone of significance. And so, I've never really had I didn't have the greatest childhood or people building me up when I was younger. So I kind of had to raise myself, and I've never really had that sense of support or felt like I was anyone that really mattered. And so for me, when I tapped into the community of this opportunity and having people around me that, people want you to succeed and they're there to support you through the good and the bad, that was huge. And that's a big part also. So, when you're talking about the opportunity, make sure you are talking about all of what the opportunity is about. Don't just get pigeonholed on, the fitness or, I think the time is the most amazing thing we have, but not just time, like what that frees up your time in your story for your life. So really, really think about that. And how you've grown as a person, that is so, so huge. And so that's all part of your story. And I think that's also what you should talk to too, is where are you headed? Until you figure out where you're headed, it's really hard to kind of share in an excited, passionate way, right? And energy is so infectious. So when you get so fired up about where you're headed, that's when people want to be part of what you have to offer. So take some time to really think about that. Another area in terms of how you're holding yourself back is we all have a common enemy, okay? And so you want to identify, based on who you are, what your common enemy is. So you're all on here, and you have an amazing leader in Kathy, so I know that you guys are kicking butt with the business side of it. But I want you to take some time to think about, what is that like common enemy that people, your doubters, your naysayers, even your own self-doubt creeps in and says. So for me, like, I've always known I wanted my own business. I just never knew how to get started. And I also love to travel. Like, my grandmother was my everything. And when she passed away, that was like a big wake-up call for me. And it made me realize that life is so precious, and I want to build something of meaning. And I refused to kind of live by the status quo anymore. And she always loved to travel. So I felt close to her when I traveled. So for me, I was like, I am 100% going to build a business while traveling the world. And most people would think that's nuts. They would think that's impossible to do. But I know that it is possible, and I was determined to bring it to life. So that's something I bring up and post all the time. And that's my common enemy, is you can't build a business while traveling the world. You know, for some people, it might be that you can't be a stay-at-home mom and run an empire. Or it might be that you have to figure that out for you and for your niche and for your people. But that's a big one, is finding that common enemy and touching on that a good amount. And then you really, really have to learn to see and believe in your own worth, like your sense of significance. You have so much to offer. And the fact that you are a coach by choice, this isn't something that you have to do. Like, you're volunteering in essence when you get started with this. And so you have to not only acknowledge how noble that is, but be really, really proud of that. And a lot of times I think we dance around the fact of what we do, or we're afraid to put it out there publicly. But you know what? You're trying to change lives, and you're changing your own life along the way. And that's something to be really proud of. So you have to immediately kind of get over that sense of self-doubt and really step into the belief of yourself. Okay, so I have a great activity here, because in terms of self-awareness, I believe we can be our own worst critics, right? We beat ourselves up, we face self-doubt, all of that type of stuff. So this is an activity I always do with my team. And it's a really great way to start developing the pillars of your brand as well as you are building out your story. And I call it see through yourself through the eyes of another. So this is your chance to kind of see what your true strengths are. I want you guys to reach out from anywhere to 10 to 20 people. And I want you to ask them to share 6 words that they think of when they think of you. Also, I want you to ask them to say what they would come to you for help or recommendations on. Don't give them too much guidance outside of that. It's just what they naturally come up with. But what you're going to do initially is you're going to get back 6 words from each person, depending on how many people you ask. So you're going to have, around 60 words. And you're going to notice a lot of them are the same. And you're also going to be really taken back by the way that people see you, because you're going to see your own value and what you have to offer. So one, this is an amazing way for you to kind of like fluff your own feathers, if you will, and see your value, which is amazing to do and go back to that often. But I want you to look at those words, and I want you to choose your top 6 that you want to be known for. Because when you're building your store and you're building your brand, put simply, like, your brand is what people say about you when you're not in the room. And you get to determine that based on kind of what you put out there. And so these words, these are going to become kind of the pillars for your brand, your core value. So, a big one for me that I always get is positive. And I totally want people to know that I'm positive. And it's not just that I want people to know that, like, yes, I love that I'm like a bubbly, positive person, but it's more than that. So then you want to break that down into pieces of your story. So for me, I think, what are parts of my story that show that I'm a positive person now? And so I share that in a way of, yes, I've overcome cancer 3 times. But I also talk about kind of not just that. I talk about how other people can overcome adversity, how it's usually our darkest of time that leads to our brightest of times. I talk about finding something more in yourself, about learning from the tough things. So it's not about just being positive by nature. It's about taking positive action. And so you're going to get these words yourself. And then I encourage you to like really think about those words and pull out pieces of your story, and it's not all going to be Beachbody related. It's going to have a lot of other elements to it. And that's going to encompass all of you. And that's what you want to do, to draw people in for attraction. In terms of what they would come to you for, this is kind of a tangent, but this is a really great way for you guys to come up with a freebie for an opt-in for email addresses. So you're going to probably find out something that you never even thought. This is kind of your area of excellence, guys. Our area of excellence is typically what we don't give any credit to whatsoever, because it just comes so easily. We think, oh, that's nothing. But, I had, for instance, one of my coaches do it, and she just had a baby, and I was trying to help her come up with some sort of a freebie that she could offer for people to opt into. And she was like, well, I want to share about how I'm having a healthy pregnancy. And I was like, that's great and that's good, but that's like so much part of, Beachbody. You kind of want to pull people in outside of that as well. And ironically enough, the one thing that people, like, everyone came to her was, I would come to you for help with, baby products, like what I should go to for baby products. And so for her, she could put together just a very simple one sheet with some of her top baby products. And you know what? She's going to draw in moms, new moms, expectant moms, people who are going to get to the point where she can have a conversation about getting into their post-pregnancy journey. So it's a really great way for you guys to see what you just naturally come up with as a freebie for an opt-in. So that's also a great area. And you'll also probably be surprised to see some of them would come to you for help in terms of what you do as coaching too, which also builds, your own belief in yourself. So I love doing that activity. The next thing I want to talk about is like to be a light. And so I kind of mentioned this before, what we go through, it really does make us a light for others. And so you have to first figure out who you're trying to help, okay? And this is so hard, and I'm sure you guys have done the avatar exercise, which if you haven't, like, please do. I know it's such a pain in the butt, but it's so, so important to do, because if you are not trying to talk to one specific person, you're trying to talk to too many, you're never going to find that person you can truly make an impact on, okay? But when you're doing this, I want you to take like at least three areas. I want you to figure out the top 3 needs of your ideal customer or coach. Like, what are their needs? And they're probably your needs before you got started, which is ironic. The top 7 questions your ideal customer or coach is searching for answers to. And then that common enemy that you can attack. And then as you're building out your content and you're sharing your story, you want to trickle this in. So you want to post around, those needs about 4 times a week and share your story, the lesson, how you solved it, how you overcame it. You want to answer those questions a couple times a week, and you can do it in a short or a long. Like, not every post should be long, but having a long one every once in a while that teaches the lesson is really impactful. And then at least 3 times a week, you really should be that advocate, like letting people know, hey, I have that common enemy, and this is how I'm facing them head on, and I'm proving people wrong. If you want to come with me and prove them wrong too, I'm here to help you, basically. So identifying those, it's kind of like an inadvertent way to share your story that gets it thinking, so that people can see themselves through your story. Okay, so then this is one of my favorite things to talk about, actually. What's your mission? I'm going to get a little deep with you guys because I can't help but not. But so I have faced cancer 3 times. And so 3 times I've actually had to like wonder and question and fear for my life and think like, am I going to die? Did I live how I wanted to live? And while I don't wish that on anyone, it does get you to live life differently, and it gets you to look at life through a different lens. And so what I encourage my team to do is to really, when we're figuring out, like, we have your vision, and your vision is where you're headed, right? Your why strengthens your drive. That's what gives you your staying power. I think your mission is what helps you grow up beyond just yourself and makes you proud. So when you think to the end of your life, right, I want you guys to think about, like, what do you really want to be known for? What do you want your legacy to be? What do you want to create? Because that's ultimately what you're using this platform to bring about. This is so much larger than just having, a business, because you're building a business around your passions, around your strengths. You're building your business around you and what you stand for, your core, your values. And it's all about being of service of other people, right? That's a legacy. So think to the end of what you want to be known for, what you want to be remembered for, what are you trying to build in your life? And if you share that, like that really powerful, that mission of what you're trying to create, and you're taking steps towards it now, it also makes you so damn proud to not only talk about it, but invite people to join you to grow it bigger than just yourself. Because that's when you realize it's about more than just you, and you need people to help you. And that's when you can really grow your team and get your team on board with what you're doing. So this is what you stand for, all right? This is in life and business. This is for you, your organization. But if you can really like shift your gears and go to that place and think about it, what at the end of it, what are you really creating? What means the most to you? And then realize that this opportunity allows you to design your life around what means the most to you. That's pretty powerful. And that's when you not only feel, yes, you feel proud, but you also feel obligated to share with other people. At least I know that's how I feel now. Like when I first got started, I was an annoying discount coach for so long. Like I told you, I started P90X, and then I got into Shakeology because I was traveling a ton for work. And my coach Liz, like forever, was like, you need to be a coach. And I loved my job at the time. I had my dream job in the corporate world. Like I had busted my butt. I bought a condo on my own. Like all this great stuff seemed to line up, and I couldn't see it. And, then after my second scare with cancer, my mom passed away, I really started to question like my purpose in life. And when you question your purpose in life, that really eats away your soul a little bit. And so I really started to think about like my job and how there wasn't any fulfillment. And I looked at my life, and there was no balance. And people in the industry, they weren't home with their families. Everyone was divorced. And I just started to question things. And, that was when my grandmother kind of called me out and was like, you're capable of more. And so when that was the first time someone's ever kind of said that to me. And that's what I love about this opportunity, is that we're able to tell people that are capable of more. Like we see the potential in them, and we help them tap into that. And so that's when I started to look at the opportunity differently and just treat it as a part-time job, and thought like, maybe I'll see where it can be. And then after she passed away, like my world came crashing down. Like I really saw how precious life was. And ironically enough, like 2 weeks later, that corporate job, they laid me off. And so at that point I took it as a sign from her, and I was like, that's it. I'm going all in, and I'm going to see what I can do. And I'm going to build this business while I'm traveling the world so I can be closer to her. And so like that fired me up. And the fact that I was actually making it happen, I was like, this is freaking awesome. Like, why wouldn't I want to share this with people? And it was amazing. And then, unfortunately, I get right hooks that are constantly wake-up calls for me in life that give me a new perspective. But I was diagnosed with cancer for the 3rd time about a year later. And at that point, like I had built my business to a point where first off, this business teaches you how to take care of yourself first, right? Like your own wellness, your own happiness. Like what other industry encourages to make your own happiness and wellness a priority? Number one, none, very few. So that's huge. So I had gotten to a point where I knew how to take care of myself. I kind of got depressed for a little bit. I won't lie, because it was like a punch in the face after I finally got back on my feet after a really tough couple of years. But because of what this opportunity, this platform, this community, the habits it taught me, I like to think we teach people habits to live at a higher level in life. Because of what it taught me, not only could I like really pour into myself to like work out of that, but I also, because my business was where it was, I was able to take a little step back. Like I didn't have to worry about the finances. I didn't have to worry about the time off. I could be with my family. And in that, like, it was ironic. Like I shut down, and then a couple weeks later, like, it was like, wow, this isn't just an exciting thing to share. I feel obligated to share this because there is so much uncontrollable in life, and you never know what's going to try to knock you down. And what we're really giving people, guys, is a little bit of control over that uncontrollable. Yes, you have to work for it. And yes, it's a roller coaster, and there's highs and there's lows, but you learn so much about yourself along the way. But it truly does allow you to design your life around what means the most if you pour into it and treat it the way that, it can provide for you. So that's just something to think about. Like, don't ever be ashamed to offer this to people, because it changes lives. And there are plenty of people, in our organization alone, our network within the bigger team of Drop the Cookie, that it's crazy. Like so many of us have been able to go full time and to really like, look at Kathy, like they're in Florida now. So there are so many stories. So just until you are able to like see the truth in your own, like ride on other people's success initially, definitely, but never ever be afraid to put yourself out there and share where you're headed and share your story and share what you've overcome and how you're grown as a person using this platform. So then I'm kind of going to like bring this all together and close it up. When it does come to sharing, the one thing to really keep in mind, the studio formula is, while yes, you want to share your story, you really want to share it in a way that you make it all about other people. You want to help people see themselves in your story, right? So you kind of want to paint a picture for them. So I started this call with like a little blurb, and I was like, the sad truth is most people never really tap into what they're capable of. I'm kind of painting a picture there. I'm pulling people in. I'm letting them I'm painting the picture of like a story for somebody else. I'm talking directly to that person I want to help. So do that. And then explain like how you can relate to it from that piece of your story, right? Say how you've been there, but then also tell them like how you've overcome it or how you are overcoming it. And like that it's a victory that's possible for them as well. But you always want to share it so that they can kind of see themselves in your story. A really great podcast for this, it's actually Entre Leadership. He has a bunch of them on there now, but the first one in terms of like helping people see themselves in your story, it's from the creator of Story Brand. And it came out last year. He also came out with 2 more this year about actually clarifying your message that dive in even deeper than kind of what I've talked about with you guys here, but they're amazing. I can send those to you, Kathy, if you want. I'll send those to you because they totally help you just cater your message in, and so that you're making an impact. And while it's great to, put your story out there, you really want to do it so that it's beneficial because you're a coach. And so I will look, because I'm a squirrel brain, I'll read these comments in 1 second, but I want to close out with one thing that I always kind of say, and this actually ties in perfectly. I'm going to read it because I don't like to mess it up because I write this for my team. But Kathy, you touched on this at the beginning too. So what I like to say is everyone has a story, and those stories have the power to positively inspire or change the lives of others. It's in sharing these stories that we are truly connected and feel empowered to reach for something more. Your role as a coach is to find the light in your own story, to use it as a platform to help others find something more in themselves, to embrace their true self, learn how they can shine, find their voice, and truly tap into their potential. So that's what I have for you, ladies.
That was so awesome. Thank you so much, Nicole. I took all these notes, but I took pictures too of all the slides.
I can send those to you if you want to.
Yeah, send them to me too, because they just don't look as good with the picture. But that was such a great call, because I just feel like so many coaches, more so than not, never really share really what their story is. They never really tap into it. They never, get to that point where they're actually brave enough to share like those struggles and those insecurities. But it's every time that you share one of those things. Like I remember the very first time that I shared a very vulnerable post, because I'm like that too. I'm very like people pleaser. I don't want anybody to think negatively about me, and I get embarrassed really easily. And I'll never forget that very first post that I made about how much debt we were in 3.5 years ago when I first started, and how we were in like $35,000 of credit card debt and had nothing in our savings account. And I was a coach. I had just became a coach. And it was, again, taking that advice that you said about sharing that vision of where I was going, even though I really wasn't making much then. And I was so scared to make that post and to share that because no one in my family, none of my close friends knew. And from the outside looking in, you would have never guessed. So for me to make that post and to share that extreme debt that we were in, and how we had no money in our savings account, but then to say, this is why I'm doing this business. Like, this is the direction where I'm going with this. This is going to change it all for me, putting it out there. Each time that you do that, it draws in so many more people because it's so relatable. Like, you get so nervous to share those struggles and those insecurities, but it's those things that people can really connect with and relate to, versus like being like the picture perfect coach that like, oh, she has it all together. Like, that doesn't exist, you know? This was just so awesome. I took down some really key points that I just like to like kind of repeat back that I thought were really awesome that you shared. Be proud of what you've been through. Like, that was awesome. I put a big star next to it, circled it all, because it's so true. And learning how to clarify your message like to people. Because I just feel like sometimes, kind of like what you were saying in there, like people will latch onto other people's stories and journeys and goals, and they never really share like what's in them and their story. But like, once you can get to that point bit by bit, like you said, and you peel back those layers, like, that's when your business freaking explodes. That's when you can start like helping people by the masses. I loved the seeing yourself through others' eyes, the eyes of another. With that, I have to do that activity. We all have to do that activity, guys. Messaging 10 to 20 people. Now, do you think, Nicole, like, should we avoid family members with that question?
So I typically say do a mix of, friends, family, and, peers or coworkers or something along those lines. So you got a mix.
Okay.
Family members will be brutally honest, but I also think sometimes family members don't see your your immediate family might, but sometimes your family doesn't see the full realm of what you do or what you have to offer. It's
I feel that too.
Like that cookie cutter mold.
Yeah. Okay. That's cool. Yeah, I can't wait to do that activity. That'll be awesome. I'm going to do that tonight, right when this call ends.
And it's really, really eye-opening because you get a lot of the same words back, but also you kind of it gets you thinking. You don't even realize that people see you the way they do. And it does. It fluffs your feathers, but it also gives you so much more direction on what your strengths are.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm getting nervous already thinking about it. Like, what are people going to say? And then I really think the last thing I wanted to share, which was, I think, one of the top things that you were talking about, was being a light for others, and talking about like what we go through is what makes us a light for other people. And then really how you mentioned too, like the avatar sheet, and how I know it takes so much time, guys, to do it. But I do remember, like, way back when I first became a coach, people in the trainings and stuff talking about talking to your avatar, because if you're just making random posts out there and not really narrowing down to like your niche, then it's like you help no one, right? But if you can get really good at narrowing down who you're talking to, so that every time when you go to make a post, any kind of post, it's basically like you are pretending that you are in the room talking to that person face to face. What would you say? What would you sound like? Makes such a huge difference. And my last piece too, this is such a good call. I'm going on and on. I love the living with the end in mind. That really gives you a good gut check, right? Like, how do you want people to remember you at the end, right? Well, what's the legacy that you're going to leave? And that's why this business is so awesome, guys. That's why I'm a lifer. I will never, ever leave this, no matter what. Doesn't matter how much success we have. I will still be here doing the same thing, helping others get there, because it's so awesome. Like, it's so much more than just health and fitness and just a business that you own. I mean, it's crazy to think that, like, I've already been doing this for 3.5 years. It just flew by so fast. How long have you been doing this for now, Nicole?
So I will be full-time 3 years in April. And before that, it was like 6 months of, kind of dabbling with it very part-time. But I've been a customer for like 5 years, which is crazy.
Yeah, I know. It's the people though who've had the success with the programs like this, who go on to make the best coaches. I know like 10 years ago, I started with the original P90X too. That's what got me and Nick first started with that, the original one, like the really long workout ones. And it got us into the best shape of our lives back then. And so I haven't even been to a gym in like 10 years. So it's, yeah, having that belief and stuff too in the programs and the products, it's like you're a shoe-in, you know?
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much. Does anybody have any questions for Nicole? She's so amazing. I almost forgot that you were a 4-time cancer survivor. That is 3-time cancer survivor. That is incredible.
Let's not push our luck there.
Yeah, right. We don't want to start going that route.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Oh my gosh. All right. Well, thank you so much, Nicole. We really appreciate you taking the time out of your night, especially on the last day of the month. Guys, keep crushing it. It's the last day of the month. Keep fighting tooth and nail to the end to help your 3 people get started on the health and fitness journey. And let's rock out the month of December. All right. Bye, guys. Thanks, Nicole.